A warning now about our next story. There are some images that could be disturbing to see.
Tonight, we get a rare glimpse inside an animal research facility right here in South Florida.
Primates are being prepared for testing inside a warehouse you probably don't even know exists.
The Consumer Investigative Unit's Jeff Burnside live in our newsroom tonight with that story.
Well, when it comes to experimentation on live animals, the emotions and the opinions run the gamut. Are animals still used unnecessarily? Isn't it worth saving human lives? The photos you're about to see won't answer those questions, but they are sparking a very public debate. Primate Products uses this facility in Doral to import primates from around the world and sell them to animal research labs. They are also licensed for research. And these photos depict severely injured primates in a surgical setting, deep gashes on skulls, an open wound on this arm, and you can see reddish or inflamed areas on the hindquarters. They got into the hands of animal activist groups who reposted them on various websites.
It's horrendous.
The Animal Rights Foundation of Florida and one other group filed formal complaints with federal inspectors over the Animal Welfare Act.
We are demanding that the USDA, the Department of Agriculture, do an immediate and thorough investigation.
Top USDA officials confirmed to NBC Miami its inspectors will, based on the photos and complaints, go visit the facility and investigate. The president of Primate Products, Don Bradford, confirms to NBC Miami that the photos are real, that the photos were taken in his facility, but he says the animals in the images are not dead. Bradford declined an interview, but in an email exchange, he said the pictures are those our veterinary staff took to document the medical treatment to animals that were injured by other animals. He continued, they are completely healed, healthy, beautiful animals. You believe him?
Those pictures tell a different story.
Animal activists have picketed Primate Products previously, even Bradford's home and country club. Bradford accuses them of links to violent extremists. But the activists say regardless of how these animals were injured, it reveals the unsettling world of using live animals for medical and other scientific research.
They don't want you at any of these facilities to know what goes on because it is so gruesome and so disturbing. If more people knew about it, they'd be against it.
Well, the company's president said he welcomes the USDA inspectors. The USDA says Primate Products has not had any enforcement action taken against it in the recent past. Still, animal activists say they will picket again September 7th. Jeff Burnside, NBC Miami.
This is Britches. Experimenters at the University of California, Riverside sewed his eyelids shut, and a sonar device was strapped to his head in a crude attempt to study blindness. Deprived of his sight, his mother, and all physical contact, Britches developed neurotic behaviors such as clutching desperately at his body and erratic spasming. These kittens were used in experiments performed at the Boys Town National Research Hospital. The experimenters cut open kittens' skulls and severed a bundle of nerves in the animal's brain without giving the kittens any painkillers. The experimenters defended themselves by saying they were studying hearing loss, but organizations, including the World Federation of the Deaf, condemned the experiments as wasteful and cruel. This baboon was named Handsome. He lived and was killed at Columbia University in 2003. A veterinarian there blew the whistle when she saw how he and other baboons were allowed to suffer. He was used and killed in cancer experiments, even though human epidemiology, human clinical studies, and the use of human cells have resulted in cancer research progress, while animal studies have proved inconclusive. The year before this footage was taken at the University of North Carolina, the government had already reprimanded the school for cruelty to animals and neglect. But the sloppiness and abuse continued. In 2 separate investigations, PETA showed that UNC experimenters still left animals to languish with overgrown tumors and painful swellings, used improper means of destroying animals, such as cutting their heads off with kitchen scissors, or using dull guillotines, and amputated the rodents' toes without painkillers so as to tell them apart more easily. This footage was taken by a PETA investigator who worked undercover at the IAMS Pet Food Contract Laboratory, where nutritional studies were conducted. She found dogs kept in barren steel and cement cages for up to 6 years, with no comfort or veterinary care given to them if they were sick or injured, and the dogs' vocal cords were cut so that their barking wouldn't disturb the researchers. These chimpanzees lived out their lives in isolation at a federally funded research laboratory called CIMA. These barren steel isolation cages are called isolettes. They are designed to hold one animal for several years. Left with nothing to do or touch or no interaction with each other, the chimps go mad. Government inspectors found that CIMA had not provided veterinary care when needed, and that the primates were shivering, vomiting, and suffering from skin abrasions and hair loss. This is the Draize test, which is still used today as it was over 60 years ago. It involves placing concentrations of a test substance into rabbits' eyes and monitoring corneal deterioration. Reactions include swelling, inflammation, ulceration, hemorrhaging, and blindness. The tests continue to be used, although alternatives are widely available. PETA videotaped these rabbits inside a Philadelphia laboratory. The test substance was poured into the rabbit's eye, which was then left untreated for days with no pain relief, and then the damage was simply marked on a chart. Once the test was finished, the rabbits were killed and discarded. Here rats are being used in a lethal dose test, which gauges the dose at which half of the test animals die outright. These animals had been convulsing for 14 hours. This kitten is convulsing after a flea spray has been applied to her for the 4th time. Despite tests such as this spray was released onto the market. Please don't buy products tested on animals. Choose humane teaching methods. Support legislation to curb suffering, and only support health charities that do not fund animal tests.
But he just lays there for about 15 minutes, and females will feed, and then they'll mate with the males and lay their eggs.
And then that's the larvae that you use?
Yeah, the eggs, you put the eggs in water and egg sheets in water, and then you get your larvae and start your cycle over again.